Hey everyone, my name is Catherine and welcome to my channel, and today I wanted to give a story time about the last time that I traveled abroad before we got hit with a pandemic. In summer of 2019, I ended up going on two back-to-back Contiki trips to Egypt, Israel, and Jordan. So my friend and I, we really wanted to go see the Middle East and specifically see Egypt, but since we'd be in that area, see other countries around there. And thankfully we got around to doing it in 2019. Contiki, it is a travel group company that is catered towards group travel for young travelers between the ages of about 18 to 35, I believe it is. But typically how they work is you have the trip manager who is basically with you the entire time, and you have a bus that you go from city to city, and you have your bus driver with you, and then when you're in each city you have like a local tour guide to show you the city. I am just going to go through basically like my camera roll. I basically had flown into Dubai. I had always really wanted to go to Dubai, and although my tours did not go to Dubai, I knew I wanted to spend a few days there. So I knew because they were back to back, I would have had to do it before or after. So I decided to do it before. I got there a day before my friend did, and I really wanted to go to the world's largest mall. So that's what I did, and I have pictures of me at the mall. They have an aquarium inside the mall. It's pretty iconic and incredible. My friend and I also ended up, when she did get there, I literally spent the first day like in the mall because it's huge, and the second day we toured around Dubai. We saw both like old and new parts of Dubai. And also one thing I knew I wanted to do there was go up to the top of the, I don't know how to say this correctly, so sorry if I butcher this, but the Burj Khalifa. It is the world's tallest building, so definitely wanted to do that. Now going into my first day of the trip. My trip started around August 4th, 2019. So when I had started my trip, I first did the Egypt leg of the trip, which I would say was about just over a week long. And of course, one of the first things we did was we went to the pyramids. Just an incredible thing to experience and see and witness. As somebody like all of us who have grown up learning about the pyramids, and I was able to sit on the pyramids. I didn't know like to what extent you can experience pyramids, but yes, I was able to sit on it. I was able to go in the pyramids. Going in, if you're claustrophobic, it may be a bit tricky because they're very narrow tunnels and you have to like crouch kind of halfway down, and it's kind of dark. I think there's like rope or something to hold on to, and you go down and then eventually opens up to a bigger room. But it definitely, those tunnels, you're not crawling, but you're definitely crouched and it's very tight. We were also able to ride camels. For some reason, riding camels is terrifying for me. They're just very tall, and I guess that extra height just like freaked me out. We went to the Abu Simbel, if I'm saying that correctly. It is just also another place where there's hieroglyphics, and it's just really a really interesting place to go to. We were also able to go to Luxor, which I remember being stopped at the Luxor, and these, I think they were local girls, were asking me like all these different questions. And I remember my tour guide afterwards was saying like, this is a very normal thing because I clearly look like a foreigner, and it's very common for people to stop you and ask all kinds of different questions. But you also have to be careful because my friend separated with me at one point, and she literally got back to me and looked like terrified because apparently she got like cornered by some men, which sounds like, you know, pretty bad, pretty sketchy. But she was able to like get out of the way because she wasn't too far from, like, this is a popular tourist place, so there's people around. It's Luxor. But she was able to like somehow squeeze her way out because someone saw her being cornered. But that's just a reminder, like, even if you're getting lost and just looking at whatever you're looking at and you're with a group and you're in a common touristy place, like, don't ever truly be alone, especially if you're a woman. Yes, so that was basically a lot of what we did on the Egypt trip. We basically just saw a lot of temples and saw a lot of hieroglyphics. It was just really incredible to be able to see this place that has such a long history, such an interesting history, and I honestly never thought I would see King Tut or like Luxor, things like that. And for me, I really loved going on Contiki because they know what they're doing and they've pre-planned everything. And then we ended off with this Egypt trip by spending a day on a yacht, and we were in the Red Sea. So we got to swim in the Red Sea, and the Red Sea, it's funny because it's called the Red Sea, but it is the most beautiful clear blue crystal waters. It was warm, it was beautiful. I had so much fun, and this was a very cool place because it was where, let's see if I remember the countries exactly, it was where Jordan, Egypt, and I think Israel, like 3 or 4 different countries, they meet in this part of the Red Sea that I was at. People gave recommendations for the songs that they wanted to listen to, and the songs would be blasted, and we were just like having a boat party in Egypt in the Red Sea, and it was so much fun. After my trip in Egypt, I had my next trip, which was in Jordan and Israel, and we had to fly to Israel first, but there was no direct flight, so we had to fly via Jordan. And the way it worked out is that we had like literally a 12-hour layover. We had a morning flight, we arrived in Jordan, and there was no flight to Israel until like 12 hours or 10 hours from then, like an entire day's worth. And the flight into Israel from Jordan was like not even an hour. So it's just so funny that we had such a long wait, but then the flight was so short. But it's fine because it gave us a day to be in Jordan. So we ended up flying into Jerusalem. I've wanted to go to Jerusalem for a long time, especially being a Christian and seeing the religious components to it. And then we ended up going to Amman, Jordan, and we were able to do things around there. We did a boat tour around also the Red Sea, just a different part of it. Lots of time spent on the Red Sea, which I wasn't complaining about. The Red Sea is gorgeous. Now, one thing that we did, which was really cool, is that we went to Petra. So I just Googled to make sure. The ancient city of Petra in Jordan became one of the 7 new wonders of the world in 2007. You can take pictures of the Petra, like the ground level, or you can go up and hike and basically take pictures and view it from other levels or see different things around there as well. And my friend and I decided to hike up because we had like most of the day there. So we decided to hike up, and given the hike wasn't easy, it was hot, it was a struggle, but I was able to finally make it up top. And one thing that's cool is that they had like a makeshift little sit down cafe. Now when I say cafe, I take it very like lightly. It's literally like blankets and pillows on the floor, and then there's like a guy with a cooler that has like waters and sodas, and then they have just like a cover so you're not in the direct sun. And there's a perfect spot where you can like see the Petra, but it was a little bit terrifying. It's just a drop and there's no like thing to catch you if you fall over. There was like the ledge, and then there was something down below that was like a little extension of the rock, but other than that, it was just like a free fall. There were also a lot of like stray dogs, which I saw throughout my trips. But in Petra, I remember specifically there were stray dogs, which is always sad to see because they don't have homes, and I don't know like, you know, how well they're taken care of. But there's this one dog that I really connected with. I had mixed feelings with my experience of this because it made me feel happy but also sad. This particular dog, I don't know what happened, but we just bonded, and I decided to give this dog water because I just feel like that's I don't know how often they drink, and it's like extremely hot. And so I gave this dog water, and the dog just ended up following me, and I was like, what am I gonna do? Like I'm on a group travel trip and I'm in Jordan, like I can't bring this dog with me. And then I was getting like closer and closer because I was coming down from like the top. When I was getting to a certain point, there were other stray dogs, and they started like growling at this dog that I had befriended and looking like aggressive, like they were gonna attack. And I was like freaking out. I was like, I'm not meaning to have this dog follow me. I didn't realize there are certain dogs that were like territorial around here, and that this dog can't like go into this territory. I don't know what's going on. The dog just like ended up like whimpering and going the other way back to its like territory. So there was no like fight that broke out. So sometimes think about the dog, and I hope that she is fine. And I don't know. It was like, you know, sometimes when you go to these places, there's beautiful sights, there's incredible history to experience and new cultures, and you really grow as a person, and you have these these incredible experiences, but there's also a lot of downfalls that you will see and like heartbreaking things. And to me it was, you know, interacting with these stray dogs and just wanting to help it and like give it some love and some water. We basically ended up seeing more of Jordan. We saw a lot of like sand dunes, and we basically also we went on this jeep tour through the sand dunes, and that was a lot of fun. We continued on and we had lunch, and this lunch was so incredible, you guys. What they had done is they had taken chicken and like dug a hole in the sand and put the chicken in a specific kind of special pot, put the pot underground, and then covered it with sand, and then it like sat in the sand and it cooked for hours. And that chicken was, oh, it was so good. And another thing we did was we basically went to the Dead Sea, which is cool because basically the types of minerals that are in there makes you float. Like you don't do anything, you just float. So it's actually really popular for people to go to. What a lot of people do is they'll buy like a certain type of like a face mask, but they put it like all over their bodies, and then they go and they just float in the water. The minerals and everything from that face/body mask along with the sea just is really good for your skin. We ended off the trip in Tel Aviv, which was incredible because it's basically like a beach town in Israel. We walked around a lot, we had a lot of free time in Tel Aviv, and we had this one last dinner before everyone left the next day. And it was just like, I remember this last night just being so happy. I had made some good friends on this trip, and I was really sad to have to go home, to be honest. It was definitely all an incredible experience and like the best trip that I could have asked for before having to go into lockdown. And yeah, so that was my trip. I definitely recommend, especially in an area such as this, where maybe, you know, it's not like England or France or something where there's more English speakers, it's more tourist friendly. Like this part of the world, especially Egypt, but I'd say in general, I definitely wouldn't have felt very comfortable traveling by myself or like with just friends, I mean. But going with an organized tour group just made it feel much more safe, not just because I had things planned for me, but just because I had this tour to like take care of me, to vouch for me in case something went wrong. Like when I went to the airport, for example, they accompanied me, so things like that, I just felt a lot more safe. If you have any questions about it, please let me know down below. If you want to go or have gone, let me know. I don't know what the situation is right now about Contiki having people go to this part of the world, or this part of the world in general having tourists, but I know things are starting to like, you know, slowly open depending on a lot of different factors. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in another one, hopefully. Bye.